wherever.
I mean, it's no comparison.
For the house,
And
but it didn't come with a
I
car.
don't know, and we are,
And I thought, so I went over
we
to
should
Charles
be a
Park.
little higher too.
And they took me
But
over
I'm
to
trying to break before they increase the
yeah,
regular.
dark.
Even though that doesn't
The
sound
light
good.
went on when you went in.
I'm never
And
sure where I'm
they had all
supposed
these
to be.
little old looking vintage.
And then we
so I
can't
found-
control their value
found
of
the
each
perfect
person's house. Because they're tax.
cow, ceiling cow.
Not according to us.
There, it's,
What was the old Gilbert hardware store like?
it was, beautiful. It was wonderful.
Sounds like a traditional.
But go ahead, because I
And it was
interrupted
very,
you.
farmers. It was
Talking about
very
that.
organized.
Yeah, just,
The nails
blew
and
my mind.
the aluminum tin
Oh, yeah.
roll around things and all of that. So, are we seeing the mayor today?
I don't know where the mayor is.
Your little,
Where's the mayor?
this is where your little eggies came from.
Let's see.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Watermelon fed chicken.
Oh, yeah. It cools them off.
So which one's a little mini?
Oh, like the black and white ones there, or the black ones, or the little brown ones in the back, those are the new ones. These all up front, because they push the ones off, because they're the
I
they're
wanna
the,
know what, is it
bosses.
arg?
Because they've been around longer, so they don't let the new ones
Comes out
come up
under
to
something like
That's like the
arg.
the ones in the back.
You send out, you mean the.
Definitely a pecking order in the
You
chicken.
send out the reminder, pecking order's a real thing.
You say a pecking order?
Send out the reminder this
You
morning.
probably,
And
Did
the
your
caption-
grandparents have chickens? Did your family?
You know who their principal is?
We had chicken coops, cows,
And-
pigs, everything. Where I am now was an entire, we were in the county, where I am now.
That was in the car, well, I
We were
got the
on
reminder.
isn't it great?
We had preserves, we didn't buy jelly, we bought
Did you make,
sugar.
did you make preserves?
No, I was there, and I didn't make, I did when they killed those cows, I helped the farmers, I made sausage.
Sophomore.
Yeah, I did all, the house that I live in is my granddad's house. So, I made all that. We had pear trees, fig trees, we made fig preserves, pear preserves, peach preserves. My grandma and my mom made it all. Still had my coming out, all of it.
I've got scuppered
Yes. I didn't
Alex was
keep 'em.
so excited. He put, when we moved, well, we'll keep it before we move.
Ang.
Paint?
I thought it was some sort of code or something like that.
It was an interesting read.
Chicken soup.
Well, no, it
We had
was,
chicken wire.
he put up it almost looked like a little pergola thing, but he grew up. It's coming
My
up the
first
line.
5.
We had chicken wire, so we had 4 posts and we had chicken wire, and then my granny, mine was broke up with chicken wire. So it stood straight up. It's still there.
This grows up and it drops down.
And it drops. So after all of the, after it gets really full, it will flip. So my chicken wire, it would flip over the 4 poles, so it will grow over. I don't do any of that stuff.
Huh?
I don't do,
You don't,
No.
you not like scuppered on?
love them.
You do?
Yeah. I'm that girl, I just, not feeds, ain't everything that they make had, just not feeds. I cried when they killed all.
I
So it's, the mayor coming, or Eric, are you mayor for today?
Yeah, I might have to take over here in a second.
Yes, how you feeling for?
Eric, happy birthday, man. Happy birthday to you.
How are you, Tony? How are you?
Need to go into.
Betsy? You wanna?
Need to go into executive session afterwards.
You're on.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting. Don't worry, I just sent it a text. Just send it to him. Good morning, everyone. We'll call this meeting of the Mayor and Council to order, our required budget hearing. In the absence of Mayor, I will be presiding. All council members are present with the exception of our mayor. If we can start off, please rise and we'll have a pledge of allegiance by Gary Peters Reed and followed by a moment of personal silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
would like to join us for just a moment of silence to use as you see fit. Thank you very much. Please be seated. As I tear apart my podium up here.
So much for silence.
Yeah, that was a rather noisy silence indeed. Today, as I mentioned earlier, is one of our 3 state-required public hearings on the setting of the millage rate. So we do have the first item up will be on the approval of the agenda. I understand there has been a request for a executive session. Would anyone like to make that motion to add an executive session for property and personnel at the end of this meeting today?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of adding the executive session, please say aye. Thank you. That's unanimous. We have nothing on our consent agenda and no zoning hearings. We're strictly going to legal matters. So we have 3 separate taxing entities in the city of Madison. So we're required to do a public hearing on each of the 3. So the first one is for the millage rate for City of Madison District 2. And the public hearing is now open if anyone has any comments for or against. Sure, Stratton.
I'll sign in first. Good morning, Mayor and Council. I'm Stratton Hickey, live at 693 Dixie Avenue here in Madison. And I'm not really speaking necessarily for or against the millage rate. But what I have is a series of questions that are kind of leading up to why we're having to impose or change millage rates. I'm a little confused, and I will admit I haven't attended enough meetings to know if you've covered this or not. So if you have, great, you can clarify for me some of my lack of understanding about how we got here, and if not, maybe it's something you can look into and get back to me on. First of all, I'm not clear as to what exactly has driven us to needing to raise, in this case, the millage rate. I understand we're spending more than we're making, but I'm not sure I understand what we are spending the money on. Is it infrastructure costs? Is it payroll? Is it a combination? And the reason I bring that up is that several years ago, Madison went through a lengthy review process and approval process to get impact fees approved through the state and implemented in Madison and Morgan County. And the idea of impact fees, and you can look it up online, it's got some great explanations of what it is and how it's used in Georgia. But the idea is that as new homes, new businesses come into Madison, they are assessed a fee on what their impact is going to be on various costs of the city and the county's operations. For businesses, it's different than homes. Homes is often the impact on schools. If it's a housing development, it may drive additional police requirements. It may drive additional fire stations and requirements and things. And granted, a few homes won't make a big difference, but as you add homes, you will reach a threshold where you need to add a fire station, or you need to add fire personnel to cover those additional buildings and those additional needs of the community. And the idea of impact fees was that instead of taxing the existing citizens, you would make the people that are driving those costs, the new impact of the new development, the new buildings, you would charge them an upfront portion of what that is. And at some point, those impact fees would be enough to pay for the new fire station, or to pay for the additional police station, or to improve the roads in the area. So I'd like to know if in the process of reviewing what millage rate requirements might be, if you also looked at impact fees, resurrecting that idea and letting the public have an input on it. In my opinion, it was a great concept. The reason we got rid of it is I have a biased opinion on that, so I'll leave it to you to assess and decide on your own. The next area that I'm a little confused about, as I mentioned, is I'm not sure what's driving the fees, but when I look at how we are taxed in Madison and Morgan County, I see that a house in Madison, I bought a house recently, so I'm a little more experienced in this now. I bought it as a potential rental property. And when I went to my realtor and told her what my budget was, she kind of laughed at me and said, gee, you're gonna have a hard time in Madison finding a place in that price range that you can then rent out. I found one, I bought it, and then as I've had people come in doing work, they said, what'd you pay? And they said, oh, wow, that's a lot more than I thought it would be. And I said, well, I'm near the historic district, it's Madison, our housing prices are somewhat inflated. But then you think about if that same house that I paid roughly $350,000 for in Madison would only cost $250,000 in Monroe, we are effectively paying a higher tax rate, even though you look at a chart that says a $350,000 house is assessed at this millage rate in Madison and a different millage rate in Monroe. You're comparing apples to oranges to some extent. You're comparing a house that has got an inflated, in my opinion, or somewhat because of our unique situation of having a beautiful historic district and having an allure for people that want to move to Madison over some of our surrounding areas. So we are paying the price of that. We are paying a higher mortgage rate, we're paying a higher purchase price. And that's driving a higher tax rate, in effect. So I don't know if that was considered. You know, if I look at the little charts that I was given, it shows what, or been published, it shows what the millage rates are for a $450,000 house or a $400,000 house. But if you looked at that same house in Monroe, would you be buying a mansion compared to the little rental property that I bought? I don't know the answer to that. I'm woefully uninformed on the exact prices, but I would hope that you all would look at that and consider that as part of the cost of living in Madison and what is upsetting people about a higher millage rate. You know, I'm paying a millage rate on a house that I think would be taxed at a lower rate because it would be worth less in a different town or a different municipality. So again, I'm not for or against the millage rate. I understand we need to pay our bills, we need to gather the taxes for that sort of thing. But between impact fees and looking at maybe a false equivalency on what our tax rates are, I'd like you to see if you can address those for me or for the community. And if you have already, I apologize, and give me a reference on where I can go look at that kind of thing. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Stratton. Did any council members or city manager have any response?
I hadn't prepared to be responding, but I thank the gentleman for his thoughtful questions, and I'd like to address two. The first is kind of the general question about how we got here. And the challenge that we face is that for years and years, we were using funds from our enterprise funds to subsidize general operations. Now, that's not illegal, and some might suggest that that's not even improper. What is challenging is, though, when you do that instead of maintaining your infrastructure. So we had a practice for years and years of very basic, if any, maintenance on our infrastructure, and the chickens are coming home to roost. We're having some serious issues without having put the funding aside for that. Now, you as a resident might have assumed that when you pay your monthly water bill, when you sit at your kitchen table and write out that check to the city, you might have assumed that money paid for the day-to-day operations of the water and sewer and gas operations if you have gas. And you may have assumed that some of that was set aside to fund a capital improvement plan. Well, that wasn't the case. And that's the challenge that this mayor and this council has addressed in this budget. And so with the adoption of this year's budget, next year's budget, we stopped using fund balance, general fund balance, to subsidize operations, which was the case. We've stopped using infrastructure funds to subsidize general operations. We significantly, you'll hear from our finance director on this, we significantly cut the budget, almost $900,000 going in next year to try to address these, and we have much more seriously begun to fund the capital operations. And so that's, historically, while it gets complex and there's a lot of issues involved, that is, when you boil it down, that is the problem that has caused the challenge that we now face. Now, in terms of impact fees, I think that this mayor and this council and staff are open to any alternative, and we got some great ideas from our citizens in terms of future possibilities. And I know that for the several council members that have been on the council for some time, that were on the council during the process that you mentioned where impact fees were considered, they'd be the first to tell you there's a very lengthy process that you have to undertake a comprehensive planning study that identifies those costs that you would be getting reimbursed for with impact fees. That it is a very lengthy process, and so there clearly wasn't time in the last month or two to wave a wand and say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do impact fees now. But I think that you will find, because of the financial challenges we face, that this council is open to looking at a variety of alternatives. And so, I hope that addresses that issue. We do have a short presentation, Mr. Mayor. I don't know whether you want to finish the public comment first and then have Karen present the presentation. I think that some of the information that she was going to provide, and I think it's a 3 or 4 minute presentation, might answer some of the concerns that the general public might have, but we're fine with either doing it after the general public or before, whatever your case. But I do know that she has information that might be helpful to the general public.
Well, I would suggest we finish the public hearings, and then perhaps we can hear Karen's report at that time.
Great.
We will continue with the public hearing for the main millage, District 2 millage rate. Are there any other comments for or against the proposed budget, the proposed increase? Mr. Conrads.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As always, thank you for your service to our community. It is truly appreciated. I'm a broken record on this one, and that is we can't save ourselves into prosperity. And what we're doing with this millage rate is putting the burden on the same people who continue to see their taxes rise on their property every year. And that's the residential who is bearing the majority of this. We are out of balance. You've heard me say it before. We need industrial growth to be able to balance this out and bring that rate back down for residential. Otherwise, it's just merely going to continue. And Mr. Stratton's comments about the cost of living here for a resident is only going to get worse. And we won't be able to bring those industrial concepts here because the workers can't live here. And I know some people say, okay, just let them come in from other communities. That's not the right answer. We've got to have a balanced tax base and a balanced workforce housing needs to be available.
Thank you.
Right there with you. Thank you. What I've heard is we don't want certain things, and I get it. We don't want data centers. The paper's not here to be able to hear me say that. But the point being, okay, that's not what we want. What do we want? That's got to be defined, and we have to go after it. I've heard a few comments that have said the people that we put in charge of going after that business have been told not to go after any industrial. We're on hold. And what I'm going to ask is that we figure out what we want and then charge the right people to go after those businesses to bring them here. Otherwise, this millage rate discussion is going to continue on and on for years to come. And it's going to kill this community. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your attention. If you would, push these issues forward. We need them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any other public comments on the millage rate? Either for or against? Any further comments from the council? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed for the millage rate for Madison District 2. We'll now move to the millage rate for the Downtown Special Tax District 32. That public hearing is now open. Anyone have any comments regarding the Downtown Special District tax rate, which would be in addition to the one we just discussed? Hearing and seeing no public comments. Council have anything they want to say? Last call for public hearing. Okay, we have hereby closed the public hearing for the millage rate for the Downtown Special Tax District. We will open up the third public hearing for the Corridor Special Tax District 92. Are there any comments from the public regarding the millage rate for the Corridor Special Tax District? Seeing and hearing none from the public, is there anything from council? Okay, hearing no request for an opportunity to speak on the corridor special tax rate, we will close the public hearing for that. That concludes the first of our 3 public hearing sessions on the millage rate setting. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business, of which we have none, new business, none, and we have an opportunity for public comments. If anyone would like a few minutes to make a comment on any item of interest to them, they're more than welcome to come to the podium right now. Yes, Carol.
Good morning. Carol
Good morning.
Winslow, 394 North.
Can you pull that mic down for you? Yeah,
Is
thank
it
you.
on today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Glad to hear that. Some of you may know I have a hearing problem, so when the system isn't used, I miss a lot of the words. I didn't want to speak about things that were to do with the millage, because I don't know that much about millage. But one of the things I have been looking at is the coming growth from the manufacturing plant. It's close to us. We could be heavily impacted by that. I've been doing a lot of research on that. We have that industrial growth, putting in infrastructure, getting a railroad spur, manufacturing. Those workers are going to be looking for housing within a couple of years. So we've got that incentive already. You'll see a lot of developer activity for that housing come before you, I expect. And the reason I say that is I've looked at what happened down near the Hyundai plant. There's a small town very near where they built the plant, and I don't see as much growth going there. It is close to the plant, within a few miles, called Ellabelle. There's another city to the west of there called Pembroke, and it's fairly close, maybe 10 or 11 miles from the plant. That's how far we are, is about 11 or 12 miles from this plant. Pembroke got a slew of DRIs for massive subdivisions, and some of them did not get through and some did, and they've got either 4 or 5 massive subdivisions all around their city. And as the workers come on, they're still increasing their workforce, so as those workers come on, wherever they're commuting from, they're eventually going to have a strong desire to be closer so they don't have to drive an hour. So they're looking at over 3,000 new homes. and Pembroke is smaller than Madison. So this is why I have been concerned about what kind of planning we're doing for that. So that's a lot of infrastructure to develop. That's a lot of traffic. We know we have a problem with our traffic flow now, and I've been pushing to get that looked at because we don't want it to get to gridlock. I mean, people really won't be happy. We'll lose our visitor traffic if we just ignore it. So I really feel like we need to look for a perimeter route, and I know that's a big deal. I don't know where it should go. But, you know, we're already failing on the South Main segment, so we've got to consider that if that growth is going to come here in 2 years. Additionally, there could be more industrial plants coming here to support whatever ultimately is built there. I think it's going to be Rivian, but I don't know. So again, those are more workforce housing jobs, and they will need housing. And whoever is developing in our industrial area needs the infrastructure to be there. They need the roads. Some say, I'm against growth. I'm not. I'm saying be smart about what is facing us and really look at it. Those industrial property owners have rights, and they want to build. What I really want you to do is start to get a grasp of the costs of providing housing. The workforce housing probably isn't going to cover those costs in terms of educating the children that come with those families. And again, that's not under your purview, but the school board doesn't approve the zoning and the housing, so you kind of have to look at it. And it definitely affects all the taxpayers. So people that are living close to the edge really are going to struggle if we just open up to 3,000 new homes here. That's a lot for them to have to take on. The impact fees in the 4 counties that are in the JDA, we're the only ones that don't have those. So absolutely, I urge you to look at them. Luckily, one of the experts in that field lives right down the street, could probably walk here. He's one of my neighbors, but maybe you could ask him, can his fee come out of the impact fees? I know the budget is tight now, but I hope we'll talk to him or somebody else that has done impact fee studies. These are required by law to include on the group looking at them to have developers there. So they should come out not against the developers because they have input there as well. And hopefully they recognize that we have infrastructure needs, and it's not that we don't want them to be developed, it's just we're trying to figure out how that all works. So please look at impact fees, look at how to fund that study, do it sooner rather than later. But also, in the process that you've been doing, and you don't have a time clock on me, but I'm trying to wind down, the process that you've been doing with all the work with Karen's staff seems to be leading towards looking at those costs. I really hope that y'all will do that. I spoke a little bit about the capital versus the maintenance and operations. Hopefully you're going to head towards looking at that maintenance and operations cost. Because when you get developers coming up here and they say the things we want to hear, it's going to be beautiful, we're going to put in amenities, we're going to have mixed levels of housing costs. You want to be able to know what you can absorb in your budget and maybe look at phasing things in. But if you don't know what it costs to add per capita, then you don't have any idea what you're agreeing that we can afford to do. So I'm really hopeful you'll look at that. You know, we talk about, oh, keep it all close to the city because of the cost of pipes to move things out. But that's not the biggest thing that impacts us. I think it's public safety up there. And again, education just kind of puts it over the top for taxpayers, even though that's not your budget. So I hope you'll keep that in mind. Look at costs as well. We can't just look at the benefits coming in. Got to look at the costs, because y'all are the ones that are, you know, looked at when things turn up. So I would think you would want more information so you can say, you know, that's more than we can take. You know, we know what our plant capacity is. We know what our road capacity is. We know what the plans are to improve the road capacity. We know what the costs and the funding are to get the stormwater and all of the other things that we need in terms of infrastructure. But we also need to think about what it costs to add 2,000 residents in terms of fire and police and just that, you know, the EMS service, because all of that costs money. I mean, that's what y'all do, is provide those services. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Carol. Are there any other public comments from anyone? All right, thank you all for your interest in what we do here in the city. As I mentioned earlier, our next meeting will be tonight at 5:30. It's going to include the second of our required public hearings on setting of the millage rate, and as well as a number of other items on our agenda for tonight at 5:30 in this room. I cannot let the opportunity pass, and I've said this many times in front of our council. I think it's important for the public to understand as we talk about millage rates and we set millage rates that when you receive your bill, your property tax bill every year, that approximately 20% of it is a result of what we in the city do. It's important to know that the vast majority of that bill is generated by actions taken by school districts and by the county. Not that that mitigates any pain that paying taxes will engender, but it's important to know that we represent about a fifth of that bill. Take that as it is. At this point, the chair will entertain a motion to go into executive session to talk about property.
Karen.
Oh, I'm sorry, Karen. I completely bypassed you. I wasn't totally prepared to take over the dais this morning, so forgive me. Karen's got a brief presentation from our budget perspective. Thank you.
That's fine. I was just going to go over the handout that y'all have. That was part of the attachment for the agenda today. And so the first is a reminder of how much we've already cut in the general fund budget for next year. And the overall decrease is $833,000, which is about 11% of the general fund budget. Every department's budget decreased. Then the next sheet shows the impact of the millage rate increase. And so the proposed millage rate of 5.85 will impact a home value of approximately $350,000, $6.65 a month. Now the school district is proposing to take their rollback, so so it should mostly offset that increase if the school district takes their rollback. You can see the millage rate changes for the taxing jurisdictions, where the city is proposing to go from 5.279 to 5.85. And again, like Councilmember Joyce said, the city's portion of the tax bill is approximately 22%. You have a chart showing the projected impact for the city, county, and school based on property values. And considering the three jurisdictions, the overall projected impact on a home valued at $350,000 is approximately $8.82 a year. Then the next handout is a comparison of the city's millage rate with the surrounding areas. And so you can review, we are on the lower end of the scale. The cities that are lower is Monticello, Buckhead, Rutledge, Watkinsville, and Bostwick. And then the last three are your required millage rate rollback and percent increase in property taxes worksheet. That will be submitted to the tax commissioner. Again, Madison's district, the proposal is 5.85. Both special tax districts where we are anticipating the rollback. And so you have your downtown business district, the rollback rate of 0.967, and your I-20 corridor rollback of 1.046.
So on those last two special tax districts, they're actually a lower millage than last year, if I'm reading that correctly?
Correct.
Karen, where can people from the public see these?
So it should have been part of the attachment on that, but I can also post it online on our website under the finance page if I need it. There is the 5-year history millage rate posted online, but these documents I can add as well.
It's on both this morning's agenda and tonight's agenda, so all I have to do is look at the agenda for, back what you're looking on the screen.
Yes.
It's online.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Any other questions for our finance director? Thank you very much for that, Karen. At this point, I will entertain a motion to move into executive session, to discuss property and personnel.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. That would be unanimous. Thank you very much. We are now in executive session. Thank you all for coming, and feel free